the Boston Marathon. Uh, a male and two females. I'm really excited. I don't know. I love my Ethiopians, and I'm proud. Go baby, go baby. I love it. I love it. Really quickly, as far as traffic is concerned, get to where you need to go because yesterday was beautiful. Or if you're like me, you fell in love with the fact that there were no buses. Nobody was scrambling. Everybody was just cool, chill, laid back. Not today. As far as our wife is concerned, they're down to 9 miles an hour, which is normal for this time. We have a little pocket on 16 East that is down to 10 miles an hour. That's Arsenal Street, California Street, Derby Road. 16 MA9 East, Parker Hill Avenue, Pond Avenue, down to 12 miles an hour. And then at that Braintree Quincy split, they're down to 21 miles an hour, mostly coming from the Braintree side, but coming all the way into the city on 93 North, they are down to 40 miles an hour. So just be mindful, get to where you need to be. Do not text and drive because the person in front of you might want to stop. You're trying to go, and the police are already looking for distracted drivers. So do what you have to do. Put that phone down. Connected to your car. We have smart cars, apparently. Do not get caught texting and driving. United Nations Ambassador Samantha Power's motorcade hit and killed a young boy in Cameroon during trip to discuss war against Boko Haram. You gotta be more careful, baby. You can't be the United Nations ambassador running people over. That's unacceptable. An armored Jeep and a motorcade carrying United States ambassador to the United Nations, Samantha Power, killed a young boy on Monday. The boy darted in the road near the small city of Moloko in northern Cameroon, where Powers was speaking about Boko Haram. Powers said that she met with the boy's family to offer our profound condolences and grief and heartbreak, and I hope you offered his family some money too. That's what I was waiting for. I didn't hear about it. She said she learned of the death with great sorrow, and she said that she met with the boy's family to offer everything but money. But I have some questions. I'll leave that right there because reports are still being updated. There is a photo going around of a New York police officer choking a woman, like straight choking her, like domestic violence relationship choking her. And this story is still developing too, so as soon as we find out some more information, I'll definitely keep it locked and keep you updated. But the picture itself, words can express. Pictures are worth a million words, 1,000 words. They really need to sit down and reconsider the powers that the police have. Not just the powers that the police have, but decertifying them. So when they do get in some type of trouble, that they are never police officers or security guards ever again anywhere else. If you abuse your power in one area, you don't think if you had the opportunity to do it again, you wouldn't do it again? 9 times out of 10, that's the way it's done. A top U.S. rabbi sparked outrage after saying there is no such thing as campus rape culture and there is no such thing as rape within a marriage. I'm going to leave that right there. New Jersey Rabbi Steve Prozewski sparked outrage with his comments. The rabbi is the leader of the large Orthodox Saginaw B'nai Yeshurun. In his blog, he claimed marriage would solve the problem of rape culture. Orthodox feminist group called for his removal immediately, and he is the rabbi, pastor, preacher of a church with more than 800 members. How are you a leader and you think that's acceptable that in a marriage a husband cannot rape his wife? That's the same dumb. I won't do it. I won't do it. That's insane. Today, I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm feeling some type of way. And it's not only just because of the rain. I'm feeling some kind of way because when it comes to the news, of course, I turned on the TV yesterday, and the news that is fed to you guys, because I don't have cable. I don't have to look at TV ever. I turn on my TV, it says Netflix. The news that is fed to you guys, the everything that comes on in between television shows, the little clips of the news, the little clips of what's going on in the world. You have no idea what's going on in the rest of the world. You have no clue. They're over here. Oh my God, a puppy was rescued in a drain. Look at my face. You look at my face. There's so much going on outside of our own backyard. There's so much going on in our front yard. We have no clue what's going on. We are so ignorant to what's going on. A new study found that about 40% of American households legally don't pay federal income tax. Those households are either exempt from paying taxes or don't make enough money to pay taxes. Households in the top 20% bear the brunt of the tax payment, accounting for approximately 87% of all income tax. In the lowest bracket, they have an average of $640, while those in the top bracket have just over $5,000 on average. So I wanted to speak to this really quickly. Yes, I prepare taxes, and one of the things that I found is that in the year of 2016, this is the tax year 2016, there was, I literally, for the entire tax office, we had less than 5 people make over $100,000 a year. One of them actually was a retired teacher. I thought that was hilarious. We had great conversations about that. But out of our neighborhood, there were under 5 people that made over $100,000. I want to say about 10, anywhere between 60 and 100,000. And it's heartbreaking to me that the median income is really about 22, maybe even $19,000 a year. 2 kids, that's working full time. Even those with degrees were making 35, 40,000, struggling. This can't be life in my Jay-Z voice. This can't be life. This is not, you cannot believe that you wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work. There has to be more to life than this. You're not the only one. I'm sick of struggling too. I'm tired. I'm seeing all these pictures my son's sending me from Africa, seeing all this magnificence, all this beauty, wondering why am I wasting my time? Bernie Sanders now just 2 points down from Hillary Clinton nationally. Sanders trails her by 2 points in a poll by the NBC Wall Street Journal survey at 48% to her 50%. It's a dramatic shift in sentiment since the end of March when she regularly led him by double digits. It's good news for the U.S. Senator, but it may have come too late. He's down 250 pledges, delegates, and poise, and they're thinking that he may fall further behind tomorrow. They've been doubting my man since the beginning. Vote for us. Hashtag vote for us. I want to give a huge shout out to the Breakfast Club, who had Hillary Clinton on air. They did an interview with her, and Angela Lee said, what do you have in your purse right now? What do you always keep in your purse? And she was like, hot sauce and in my bag. Swag. No, she really didn't. But she did say that she carries around hot sauce. And of course, you guys know Charlemagne, he with his flip mouth, he was like, oh, so you're just going to pander to us, huh? And she was like, is it working? I don't care if she really does carry hot sauce in her bag. I don't care. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Somebody on my timeline, on my Facebook timeline, was like, she's been saying that for years. This ain't new. Hillary been having hot sauce in her bag. That's where Beyonce got it from. Okay. But the pandering part, when he was just like, oh, you just gonna pander to black people, she was like, well, is it working? That's the part where I swear I got goosebumps up my arm. if you can't see, if you don't know me by now, you will never, never, never know her. Hey T, yo, 2 points. They've been down to my man since the beginning. Shout out to Bernie. Vote for us, yo. That there's a video. Hashtag vote for us, right? And in that video, Bernie went hard. Now, if we were to pick presidents based on campaign videos, what? Bernie would have won it. Like, he had me wanting to cry. He had me proud. I was excited. Hashtag vote for us. I'm going to find it. I'll post it myself if you guys can't find it. Or if you don't do social media, go ahead and Google it. Vote for us, Bernie Sanders campaign video. I think it was dope. Bernie had all my feelings and emotions. Whoever made that video for him is a win. 617-282-0062. We have a caller on the line. Good rising, caller, you live.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm super.
Go ahead. My fault.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the interesting thing about the people, all the black people that I see talking about Hillary so good, I see them on MSNBC and these stations. If this was slavery, these will all still be the Negroes that are in the house. Like, it's the homosexual, the church pastor pimp, the bitter black woman. It's like the cliche images that we will picture in the house are 99% of his face, Hillary's face. It's so amazing how within the black race, well, like we have the Tea Party and the establishment movement and the Republican and the black community is the same thing. House Negroes will always vote for the person that they think is going to give them a position in the house.
But you know what? Hold on. Okay. So we have another host here in the city, VOG, and VOG is a die-hard Hillary fan, but he's extremely conscious. And to me, I don't get it. I don't get, like, how can you be extremely, like, pro-black and conscious and all those other things that are supposed to describe? Please explain to me how his thought process where listen, Hillary Clinton could be in the Panama Papers and he will find a reason why it's okay for her to have millions of dollars stashed offshore. Like,
within the conscious movement, we have to make a distinction between those who are educated and aware of facts and those who act on them. BLT, I've had conversations with that dude before. He's one of those, yeah, I know bad things happen, but I still want to make sure there's food in my mouth. And like I said, house Negroes, no matter if they're coonish or just making sure they keep the lights on, they will do whatever it takes to keep a paycheck. Like, we all got to survive, but I'm not bending over tap dancing. And one thing I like about Bernie Sanders, he is the least paid in the Congress. And we all know everyone in politics is self-serving. So if he's someone that's not a millionaire, that's just something about his character that he's now willing to tip-tap for every penny and sell a baby gum river just to make an extra million. Hillary Clinton and rest of these Democrats in the establishment, these Negroes are going to give us a few crumbs to keep your votes, but they go to bed and they don't give a damn if Shaniqua didn't have her lights on. As long as Shaniqua has enough food to stay alive to give her them their vote, that's all they care about. And that's why we're always going to be at the bottom barrel, because these people are just going to give you enough to give you what you need so they can get what they want. Vote for Bernie Sanders, and maybe we can move out of the bottom of the ring to at least the middle.
Well, my thing is, I don't want to wait for anybody to give me anything. I'm ready to start growing some stuff. I'm ready to start building some stuff. Where Black Wall Street? Where Tulsa at? Where Tulsa, Oklahoma at? Anyways, really quickly, thank you, baby. Love and appreciate you. I want to finish up this news because I've been slacking on my pimping when it comes to the news. My parents deserve to be prosecuted. Daughter, 20 years old, who was left disabled after her Christian family refused her medical treatment breakdown while describing, though, dear Mariah Walton's parents were members of the Idaho Followers of Christ. They believe treatment intervenes with God's will and instead use prayers instead of medicine, forced to blackmail her father in order to get her to take him to the doctors at the age of 18. She found out she had pulmonary hypertension due to untreated hole in an organ. Listen, my religion is strong when it comes to vaccines, but Anari and Asari are going to the doctors, baby. And we have a lot of people that actually will not take their children to the doctors. Please be mindful. God gave you a brain so you can use it. Nana said, God gave you a brain so you can make better decisions, okay? You could pray all day, you could pray all you want, but sometimes you need to intervene on your own stupidity and get your baby some medicine. I actually saw a young girl when I did daycare a few years back. I saw a young girl whose parents didn't believe in anything. Like, the girl never had a vaccine a day in her life. She never went to a doctor a day in her life, and she had really bad eczema, but it was all over her body. Like, she looked like she was burned. That's how bad the eczema was. But they wouldn't put any creams, no lotions, no nothing on her. And I thought that was the stupidest thing, because she was a beautiful little girl and they were ruining her skin. I'll leave that alone. Hundreds of Americans named in Panama Papers are told to own up before being caught by officials as investigation into the offshore activity continues. I told y'all. I told you. I can't wait. I can't wait. No one's going to say, oh, yeah, it was me. I did it. No one's going to do that. More than 200 Americans have been named in the Panama Papers. The IRS advising offshore account holders to get in touch. Investigation gaining momentum following the release of documents from the April 3rd. This comes after experts claim Americans have no need to go to Panama. You're crazy. You're insane if you don't think that we don't have, and they named this. They said it in the beginning when this first came out in April. They said that there were sports team not coaches, sports team owners. They said it was business owners. They said it was athletes. They said it was politicians. I'm waiting for this list to come out. I want this list to come out. Why? You want me to tell the truth? You want me to tell you a lie? Okay, I'll tell you both. So I want this to come out. This is the lie first. I want this to come out because I think we should all be truthful and honest when it comes to our side. Okay, let me just tell you the truth. Because I want Hillary's name to be mixed up in that nonsense. Do you know how many people, her advisor, somebody as close as Hillary's advisor, is named in the Panama Papers for having offshore accounts? You don't think that bra got some offshore accounts somewhere? You crazy. It's hidden in Haiti. That's where it is. That's where the offshore account is. You don't even have to look at the Panama Papers. Look at Haiti. That's where Hillary. I really do. I'm such a hater. I want Hillary's name to be all in there. Her and Bill Clinton. U.S. Navy is developing a fleet of drone mother submarines that can release smaller robots to lay mines or launch missiles or do whatever this $1 billion we need it to do. I'm so sick and tired of the U.S. government using your tax dollars. You do know that every single time they come out with some cockamamie weapon that they think is going to cure all, save all, kill all, you paid for that. You know how many weapons of mass destruction we have here on U.S. soil that have never been utilized, that were just tests, that were just like, oh, let's X-Men it and try to make this new gun. Yeah, I said X-Men it. They want to do everything. They want to try all types of things. I have an idea. Let's put a chip in a man's brain so he can control machines. How much money did that cost the American people? That's really where we need to sit here and start counting pennies and asking questions, because BAPRA just does whatever the heck they want to do with all types of funding. And they don't even have how much this damn submarine is going to cost. I get it. I absolutely get it. We need to defend ourselves against our enemy. That's perfectly fine. But we also need to be mindful. And what's funny to me is I wish Jeff was here so I could have a conversation with a Republican, because Republicans are fiscally responsible, right? But yet they're really huge on war. So how can you, they're big on war and defending ourselves, but yet they have no problem spending ridiculous amounts of money on things that are possible. That's it, just possible. I think we want to try. I don't know if you guys remember about the story that I read. They want to put chips in men's brains or soldiers' brains so they can control trucks and machines. And How much did that cost? Diesel electric submarines are quickly becoming one of the biggest threats to naval operations and a 1.8 trillion commercial shipping industry. Diesel electric submarines, with their nearly noiseless engines, are incredibly difficult to track from afar. They're also cheap to make, anywhere between 200 million and 300 million apiece. Lord, how many? I won't say anything because 200 million is cheap when you have Boston Public's $1 billion budget. You know, that is pretty cheap for a submarine. The Good Samaritan is dying out in America. Just 1 in 39 people get help from strangers during a medical emergency. And guess what? If you're black, it's 55%. Researchers found that only 2.5% of people receiving help from strangers. For African Americans, that's just 1.8 receive help before medical staff arrive. This is compared to 4.2% of Caucasians who get assistance damn near immediately. Bystanders can help by offering water, blanket, applying pressure to a wound. And this was a study that was done. Why they always need studies to be done for us to know the obvious? Oh, we just need the numbers. We need the data. Well, as far as data is concerned, you need to be mindful because these e-cigarettes are the most commonly used tobacco products amongst teenagers. Yes, you're teen. With millions using the device, e-cigarettes are the most common form of tobacco products used by teenagers. Overall, tobacco use among middle school and high school students are unchanged. But since 2011, the use of e-cigarettes are increasingly dramatic. Said the CDC, 3 million teenagers in the U.S. use electronic devices, experts warn. This concerns them because even though the number of tobacco use has not fallen in the past 5 years, they are finding that these e-cigarettes are more dangerous. Some of them are exploding. Some of them are getting too hot and burning people. Some of them, there is no filter, so all you're taking in is whatever fake, whatever you put in there. And a lot of I cannot imagine strawberry artificial flavor. It can't be good for you or your lungs. So I'm just gonna sit back and wait when reports come out. Like those things give you a different kind of cancer. We'll see. 5 dead, homes destroyed, and horses drowned in a historic flood. Devastation in Houston, Texas, where a month of rain fell in just 1 hour. That sounds like the Great Flood, huh? Somebody building a boat. At least 4 people are recorded as dead in this historic flooding in Houston, Texas. The city saw 15 inches of rain on Sunday. Normally, Houston sees 4 inches of rain for the entire month. They saw 15 inches on Sunday. A TV reporter was preparing to go live when he saw and saved a man whose car was being submerged. Families have been pictured wading through the waters with belongings in plastic bags and children on shoulders. It's bad, y'all. Please pray for Texas. Everybody's going to change their Facebook status in a minute. Pray for Texas because it really is bad. I wish California got some of that rain. Breast cancer patients could be spared chemotherapy thanks to a test which predicts if the disease will return after surgery or not. The test, called MammaPrint, could spare 14% of patients from chemo. The analysis genetic makeup of a tumor to reveal how aggressive the cancer is and basically whether or not they should even go through chemo. Because if you go through chemo and you're still going to have the cancer, it doesn't make it makes no difference for us to put you through hell while you are under this treatment. Really quickly, I want to give a shout out to the patent that recently came out where a black man made this. He made these glasses that allow you to see where the cancer is based on a dye that he put around the cancer cells. And so only the cancer cells glow, and everybody is trying to get a hold of these glasses, and he's not selling. He's not budging. He's no, not my invention. And I love it. I absolutely love it. But, he has a monopoly on it. Do you guys remember I was telling you about the arrest? Many people were being arrested. They were protesting about democracy. Well, Ben and Jerry, co-founders of Ben and Jerry, Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield, were among roughly the 300 protesters arrested on Monday on the steps of the U.S. Capitol building, according to a post on the ice cream company's website. According to Capitol Police, about 1,240 arrests have been made since April 11th. I'm trying to understand how you can arrest protesters. Well, the reason why they said police said that they are arresting protesters, which have included Harvard professor Larry Lessig, actor Rosario Dawson, who were charged with unlawful crowding, obstruction, and were processed and released on scene. That doesn't make any damn sense. I'm interested in knowing if you know, if you have the answer, Sway, please call me. Please inbox me. Please inform me. TaylaAndre 617-282-0062. Because I could have sworn in the Constitution it gives me the right to assemble. So if me and my peoples related to ongoing democracy-related demonstrations against the influence of big money in politics, if I'm demonstrating, if I have the right to assemble and me and my peoples are assembling, how exactly am I charged with unlawful crowding and obstruction and are processed and released on the same grounds? Question? Can anybody break this down for me? I want to know the point of arresting me and releasing me. I want to know the point of arresting 1,240 persons for having the right to assemble. Is it because they didn't get a permit to assemble? Unlawful crowding and obstruction. See, I have too many questions for this. I can't just accept this nonsense. And I feel that more people are going. There's more people. I read it because I'm always here for the comments. I love the comments. People are like, I don't care. I'll go. What they're fighting for is they're fighting for democracy. They're fighting for every voice to be heard and not these super delegates and these super PACs and these companies and corporations to pick our next president. I get it. Yes. It's so frustrating. I'm sorry. It's not the rain. It's what's going on in my city. It's what's going on in my country. It's what's going on in this world. And I don't get it. I don't get why there are 14 people that are awake right now. And I don't mean because it's 6 a.m. I mean, why are there 14 people that are awake, that know what's going on in this world, that are being mindful of what's going on in this world, that are teaching their children of what's going on in this world, and have some sort of desire to change what's going on in this world? I hate feeling like I'm the only one. And sometimes I do. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm not going to be as angry. Somebody just sent me a message like, Tayla, you sound like an angry black woman. Maybe I am. I am. I'm mad that my people are still asleep. All my people to be free, to be free, to be free. But you can't be free if you're still mentally enslaved. You can't be free when you... Soapbox down. I'm done. Party done. Big City 101.3 FM. Waking up with Tayla Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. We're going to take a quick break. Big City 101.3 FM. Good rising, kings and queens. Waking up with Taylor Andre. So, if you listened to yesterday's show, that's because you apparently had to go to work. A lot of people did not. A lot of people stayed home yesterday. So I think yesterday's conversation was absolutely amazing. And I would like to share that with you, and not on Mixcloud and not on YouTube. I actually would like for you to listen to yesterday's show today. So if you listened to yesterday, then you might want to change the channel now. But don't, because it's good. And yesterday was so amazing to me to have. I'm not even going to ruin it for those who don't know, but I do really quickly want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Coleman G. Howard, Truth, Love, Compassion. We are what we think, eat, wear on a third dimensional plane, and here is the third dimension. What are you eating? What are you wearing? What are you drinking? What are you putting into your body, your ear gates, your eye gates? Be mindful, please. And shout out to Faith's Natural. Currently, I got the curl rejuvenator, the hair milk in my hair, and anybody on YouTube, them curls on fleek, baby, like Anari likes to say. But without any further ado, yesterday's show was absolutely amazing, and I need to share that with you. So I love you. I appreciate you. I'm still here in the building. I'm not going nowhere, but I think that this conversation is important to be had, and I completely forgot that yesterday was a Marathon Monday, and a lot of people didn't go to work, so mwah.
Wake up with the Radio Rebel. Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with
So this is
conversations leaving the universal consciousness. This is the type of stuff I'm into, all right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go.
Well, this is Guy.
Hey, Guy.
Good morning.
Good rising, good rising. So you guys remember that awesome guest that I told you about? This is he. So I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, baby, of course. So Guy, what I would love for you to do is for you to tell the listeners who you are, what it is you do, and what makes you so amazing. So for those that are watching, yesterday we had I am, oh God, don't make me mess up his name. I am Guy. And he was live on air, and he was talking to us about what he goes through being a Black gay man with HIV. So we, of course, two very taboo topics in one. So the fact, AIDS, HIV is a very taboo topic, even if, we know the truth, nobody wants to discuss it. And second, being Black in the gay community is extremely taboo. And we tackled both of those yesterday. And so I'll kill it for you guys. We had a dad that called in and was talking about how his son just told him that he's gay. And well, he told him that, Dad, I think I like boys. And the dad was like, please help me, walk me through this, because I love my son more than I like my pride, and I don't want to push him away. And with this being a West Indian station, I think it is so important for us to have these type of conversations, to smash stereotypes and to help people cleanse themselves of the bigotry. Because if your son comes home one day and says, Daddy, I'm gay, what are you going to do? As we know, there are a lot of parents out here that will kick their children out and have nothing to do with them. So without any further ado,
you can be sexually assaulted. You can be born with this disease. So what does that stigma look like for those people? And so I believe that God does not do, anything for no reason. And so I believe that I got this disease to tell people about it, to let them know that you can still thrive and live and live a wonderful life post-diagnosis. But, even to this day, my mother and I, we still don't really talk about my disease, and I've been positive for over 10 years now. And this is a major part of my life, and it's still like pulling teeth to get, people to recognize me. And so I will not stop until people realize that this is a disease that is greatly affecting Black gay men, Black men, and Black women. And so we all need to be in on the conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for beautifully putting that together. I have a few questions. Do you mind if I ask, how did you contract HIV?
So, it's quite interesting when you really, really look at the social determinants of health that lead to a young man contracting HIV. And I think that that's what we're not paying enough attention to. We keep throwing money, for research and biomedical research and PrEP and PEP, but we're not really, really talking about the socioeconomic reasons as to why someone becomes vulnerable to this disease. But I say all that to say, being kicked out at an early age because of my sexuality, I'm from Detroit. Where do you go? Sexuality is still very much machismo in Detroit. So I always felt that I didn't belong there. And so I met someone online that said that they would take care of me, flew me to Philadelphia, and that is where the story began. Obviously, that didn't work out. It was an abusive situationship, verbally and physically, and I was sexually assaulted while living with someone else, and having to try to escape that negative situation, and actually met someone else that would give me an e-pill and take advantage of me at 19. And so I say all that to say it's still happening today. The younger, this disease is getting younger and younger. 13-year-olds are infected now, 14-year-olds, and it's because their parents and their families are not standing behind them as gay people. And so, we become more susceptible to the world when we don't have that support that we need at home.
So you just blew my mind. First, with the fact that somebody would take advantage of you, give you an e-pill and take advantage of you. Second, that we have tweens, in a sense, being infected because of the stigma around their sexuality.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Okay. You were kicked out of, how old were you when you were kicked out of your house because of your sexuality? And how often does this happen to those who, not only just gay children or gay people, but also transgendered or confused? I don't know if I'm able to say that.
They call it questioning. But it happens more often than you think, and that's the issue. 4 to 5 gay students of color report verbal harassment. 1/3 of them report physical violence at school and at home. So, that is saying something there. I was kicked out many times. I grew up in a very religious family, very religious household, single mother. that, her children were born into a world that did not recognize them anyway. So she had to be extra tough. And so I think that that did a disservice to me because I just felt as though I needed to hide everything, suppress everything. And so I was actually outed by a family member to my family. So that's another form of violence that people, don't know. I didn't have a coming out story. Most Black people don't have coming out stories. We were outed or we're not afforded a coming out story because it's still so stigmatized within our communities. The churches damn us. The deaconess, they don't understand us, but the pastors are molesting us, but we're not talking about that either. So, I just think that being kicked out, multiple times, being forced to live with people, that were 40 people in the house because I had nowhere else to go. That happened multiple times. I went to college from a friend's house, not from home, because my mother just did not understand my gayness. She thought it was something that I could take a pill, and miraculously be cured, or I could pray the gay away. And too many times that's happening to us. And that's why there is an increasingly alarming number of Black gay youth committing suicide. Birth, infection rates are going up, STD rates are going up because we just don't have anyone to support us at home.
So I'd like to rewind because I think personally, opinion, not fact, I think one of the things that we failed to do as our public school system is we took away health. Mm-hmm. We took away that component to discuss what happens with girls and boys and diseases that, could or could not be contracted. And sometimes those discussions that started at school, because not all school districts are afforded that time or whatever, money with whatever they associate the lack of having health class. Then trickles into the home conversation because at home, once again, it is stigmatized. We don't have those conversations. And how do we start, Guy? How do we start as, I have questions about my child. My child's about 12, 13 years old. I have some questions. I don't know how to ask these questions. I want to be a supportive parent, but what steps should I take that your mother, not I personally, but listeners that are going through this and, may even have a question or a thought or, maybe possibly my child doesn't like the opposite sex. How can they, or how would you would have liked your mother to have treated you?
And bless my mother's heart, she just didn't know and she didn't have the language. And I think that is the number one issue is that heterosexual parents don't have the language. And unfortunately, there's no real way to have the language to talk to your children about their sexuality. But what I always wish my mother would have done, or anyone for that matter in my family, was to just ask. You'd be surprised.
This is a replay from yesterday's show. Yesterday was
acknowledge us. And, not just acknowledge our sexuality, but acknowledge me as a whole person. Because I don't acknowledge my mother as a heterosexual woman, but I acknowledge her as my mother. And so I don't understand a lot of times when, families cut themselves off from their children because they just don't support the sin. We love the sinner, but we hate the sin, and that makes no sense to me. And so I just wish that anyone, even to this day, just ask me about my life. When I go home, no one really ever asks me about my life because they don't know if they're going to offend me with the questions or, everyone is tiptoeing around me. No, I'm a person. Everyone's talking about their love life. I want to be included in the conversation. And I think that's what, most LGBT people are sort of fighting for, is just to be included in the conversation. You don't have to make it all about me, but just invite me to the table to have these conversations about my sexuality, about who I'm in love with, about who I'm dating, and then we will feel affirmed. And once you feel affirmed, you can go on to do great things. I'm a strong believer that when you feel good, you do good things. But we have to just be included. And so that's what I would just challenge anyone, heterosexual that may not understand or, maybe off-put by, gay men or lesbian women or transgender females or men. Just ask them. It won't be offensive. We just want to be included. That's it.
have some questions that some like Tayla, you can't ask people that. Like
Yes,
you
you
have to have
can.
some tact a little bit. You can't just say whatever comes to mind. But these are questions that I know that don't just, I'm not the only one with these questions.
Yeah. Well, I think a part of it is, I always say this. I don't like to educate people about my blackness or my gayness. Those are things that I am. And I mean, I just don't really have time to explain, my sexuality. And one of the things I often, tell people is I asked my mother, in your heart, could you turn gay? And she said, no. And I said, so imagine how I feel when you're still asking me about a wife or, children or a girlfriend. I can't turn myself straight. And I think once you realize that, then we can really, really have a conversation. Is that this isn't a choice for me. This is who I am. And so, I mean, first of all, Taylor, Google is your best friend. So anything that you feel that may be too offensive or, you don't really know if you can ask this question, I say Google it. Or, talk to a doctor about it. I often, encourage my mother to talk to her doctors about certain things, about, HPV, about what's happening, the hormones and all those types of things, so that when she comes to me, she can have an educated answer and not just sort of be aloof. And so that's what I often tell people, just Google, ask other people, ask around before, you do offend a gay person. But I don't think we would be all that offended. We've been asked way more, and so I just think that having that open and transparent conversation, that will be the starting point for you.
Thank you so much. For those that are just now tuning in, Big City 101.3 FM, Waking Up with Tayla Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. Currently, we're on the line, Motivational Monday, with Guy Anthony, who is a well-respected HIV
Today is a
activist,
replay because
community leader,
a lot of
and
people
author.
missed
He was
yesterday,
diagnosed
and I
with
wanted
HIV as a
yesterday's
teen. Guy has
conversation
dedicated his adult life to the
transcend
pursuit
until today.
of
So we canceled a
neutralizing
guest
global
just so people
HIV
could listen to the show from
AIDS-related
yesterday.
stigmas. He recently released Positivity with a plus sign in the middle. Positively Beautiful, Affirmations, Advocacy, and Advice on World AIDS Day in 2012. The collection of inspiring narratives, raw imagery, and affirming anecdotes has earned Guy much acclaim, including being named one of the top 100 HIV prevention leaders under 30 by POZ magazine. So shout out to him and all that he does. I want to give a shout out really quickly to our sponsors, Coleman G. Howard, Truth, Love, and Compassion, which I think is so beautiful in connection with today's conversation, because in a sense, we are talking about truth, love, and compassion, being true to who you are, loving the person for who they are, and having compassion to understand that you may not understand those differences, but just that love and that truth is enough to build a compassion. So shout out to Coleman G. Howard. All of his shirts exude love and appreciation for others as well as self. And as you guys know, we are what we eat, think, and wear on the third dimensional plane. And if you are wearing nonsense, that's exactly what the energy that you're giving off. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to FaithsNaturalBeauty.com. My biggest, most favorite product of hers is the natural deodorant. It doesn't have any aluminum in it. It's all natural. You're not going to get breast cancer. It works if you have a high pH and you sweat really bad. It's going to work for you. It's great for children. And for my ladies who put their deodorant underneath their breast, in between their legs, maybe somebody need them on their feet. It's in a jar. You can use it how you wish. With that being said, thank you to our sponsors again. Guy Anthony, thank you so much for being on air with us. If you guys have any questions, please give us a call, 617-282-0062. So I want to ask some questions that maybe people are afraid to ask. If it's too personal, that's perfectly fine. Just say pass. And if you guys have any questions and you want to remain anonymous, TAYLAANDRE, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. So my first question is, at what age did you know that you did not like girls?
I never liked girls. I remember my mother's a beautician. She actually did Kenny Moore hair, surprisingly, when Kenny Moore was in high school. So that's a fun fact. But I remember my mother having a hair show, and hair shows in Detroit were like amazing. They were like the Oscars.
Or like the South.
Came out to like Never Gonna Get It. They, you know, the initial girls walked out to Never Gonna Get It, Never Gonna Get It by Vogue. And I just remember like sashaying down that runway, eating it up, giving it everything I had. And at that moment, I just sort of knew that I was different. And then when I got to middle school, I remember having like strong urges for like boys and not really the girls. And then high school, I really knew who I was. And so honestly, I do not have a recollection of ever liking girls. I dated girls because I was supposed to, because in 8th grade, you sort of have to. But I don't ever remember liking girls for real. So that's interesting.
So you kind of went against yourself. You weren't true to yourself by dating these girls. Was your first kiss with a girl?
So I was molested, right? So I believe that my first kiss was when I was being molested. And so I often talk about life pre molestation and post molestation. So I really believe that everything happened during that molestation. My first intercourse, you know, first touch, first kiss, first everything happened around 8 when the molestation began.
So a lot of people have this idea that the reason why people become gay, not born with it, but become gay, is because something bad, like you just explained, happened to them.
Yeah.
The pre and post, did you know in your mind that you were different pre-molestation?
No, everything is post.
So as a devil's advocate, do you think maybe this experience is the reason why you chose, or not chose, because I know, forgive me for that.
No,
do you think post-molestation is the reason why you may be gay?
I do believe so. And I have a yes. And you know that a lot of people may not like that, but that's my experience and that's my narrative. And I really believe that. And I often, you know, if I can be transparent for a moment, sometimes I'm a writer and I don't share all of my writings because some of them are just, you know, personal between me and God. They're my heartbeats. That's what I call them. And so I write a lot. And sometimes I wonder what my life would be like, because I do feel like I'm like, you know, an older woman trapped in a young man's body because I want the children, I want the husband, I want the house. And a lot of times I feel sad for myself. I weep for, you know, a childhood loss because I really do wonder who I may have been had this horrible thing not happened to me. And I actually talked to my mom about that a lot, and, you know, and she says she wonders who I would have been too. And so I definitely, you know, that's not to say people are not born gay, because I have, you know, family members or I've known, you know, people growing up that have been gay their entire lives, literally as children. I've watched them, you know, grow up to be gay and be super effeminate as children. But I do believe that a lot of us, it does happen because, you know, we were sexually assaulted or we, you know, were molested as children. And, you know, and I think that it makes it easier. My therapist told me that the first sort of interaction that, or sexual interaction that you have is sort of something that, I guess, changes the trajectory of your life. And he believes that, you know, because I was touched by a man first, because I had those things happen to me as a man, from a man at 8, that I am gay because of those things. And I wouldn't challenge it. I would not challenge that.
And that goes to answer the question from Anonymous, who asked if you were molested by a man or a woman. You were molested by a man. And you think that maybe if that situation had not happened, you would have a different life today.
I do. I genuinely do.
Wow. You know, a lot of people would say that's not the way it works. Like a lot of people that are gay, and how you explain that you've seen children come up very feminine and end up being gay. Do you think there's any chance for you to have a wife? Like at any point, do you think that maybe if you mentally, emotionally overcome the trauma that has happened in your past, do you think there's any chance of you ever being somebody's husband to a woman?
I don't. I've sort of accepted, my life and the way that the way that it's been for the last couple of years. I enjoy my life this way, and I'll have children, probably be a surrogate or something like that, but I'm not interested in women at all. I mean, to be besties with, for sure, and to go shopping, I'm down. But no, not sexually at all. I do sometimes look at women's butts, if I'm honest. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that, but I do.
Thank you for your transparency. I love it.
I do though. It's interesting. I'm a butt man, so I can appreciate a beautiful woman. I just don't want to have sex with her.
That is amazing. We have a caller on the line. If you have any questions for Guy Anthony, if you have any questions surrounding AIDS or HIV or how to speak to a gay child or maybe a questioning child, please give us a call. If you want to remain anonymous, that's perfectly fine. I completely understand. TaylaAndre. We currently have a caller on the line, 617-282-0062. Good rising, caller, you're live.
A two-part question.
Okay, Ms. G.
Yeah, I need to ask him, and this is just hypothetical. What was your relationship with a man, like said, like a father figure or anything? That's just hypothetical. Out of curiosity, I want to know.
I don't really have a father presence in my life. My father has been on drugs ever since I was born. He was one of the first people to try crack after coming home from the military, and he became addicted immediately. And so, my grandpa was pretty much the only father figure I've ever had in my life. And he just recently passed in December. So if I'm honest, I've never had a real father figure in my life.
Okay, and also, here's the second part. I'd like to know if your attraction to men is physical or sexual. I mean, I think about that. I have gay people in my family also, and I'd like to know: is it just physical or is it sexual? Which one? Which area would that cover?
If I'm honest, it's neither. It's emotional. I have an affinity for Black men. Because of the history of Black men, because of the struggle, because of the plight. And so I have an emotional affinity for them. It's not necessarily physical, I love men, but I'm not active sexually. And so, I know that it's not that. It's definitely emotional. And so, yeah, not physical or sexual in any way, emotional.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. G. I love it. Appreciate you. If you guys have any more questions for Guy Anthony, we're currently talking around AIDS and HIV, of course, prevention. Understanding that after you've been diagnosed, your life is not over. It's the beginning of a new start. How was that transition when you found out that you were HIV positive? Walk us through those feelings and how you finally accepted your fate.
Well, you know what? I do want to definitely. We do people a disservice, I think, right now by really pushing and telling people that this is a new life after being diagnosed. You can live and you can thrive with this disease. And I think that people are not as afraid of it anymore as they were in the 80s and the 90s because we're sort of propagandizing this disease. And let's be clear, this is not something that I want. I mean, having to take a pill every single day, night sweats, rashes, like these aren't things that I want. And so I definitely want to be clear, because someone told me the other day that I make having HIV look easy. And I think that he thought that was supposed to flatter me, but it didn't. I wasn't flattered. I was like, well, I'm not really doing a good job because I need to be scaring people. I need to be, invoking some fear in them because this is not something that you want for the rest of your life. So I just really wanted to say that you just have to live and survive, but it's not something that I ever wanted. But if I sort of internalized this disease for 5 years before I told anybody. And so when people see me and they hear my story today, they're like, "Oh my God, you've adjusted so well." And I'm like, "Well, babe, I did 5 years of, damage to my body to sort of rebuild myself up. And that was, drug use in LA, just a lot of things that were not healthy. But I needed to do those things because I needed to really be born again, reborn. And so after 5 years is when I wrote the book. And that's when I came out to the world, because I knew that I just could not be silent about what happened to me, because there were so many other young people that this happened to. And so honestly, I wrote the book for myself. And if it was to help someone else, then, that's a blessing. But I wrote it because I needed to write myself out of this pain.
That was beautiful, Papa. That was gorgeous. So you internalized for 5 years, baby. I can barely keep a secret for 5 minutes. No, I'm just joking. I ain't no snitch.
But you have to think about it. When there's so much stigma on your sexuality and an HIV status in your community, you keep it to yourself, because you don't want to lose your family, you don't want to lose your friends, and that's what I was fearing, that I could possibly lose my entire family because of a disease that I didn't ask for. And so that's part of the issue, is that people aren't talking because they're afraid of what their family is going to say, what their community is going to say about them. And so that's why I had to really, really deal with it on my own. It wasn't because I wanted to, it was because I couldn't talk about it to anybody.
What pills, what medication do you take? And do you have any visions of grandeur of being Michael Johnson and no longer having the disease? Because I feel like that. I feel like, hey, if he can be cured, depending on how much money I make, I can be cured too.
Magic Johnson isn't cured though. That's that I don't know where that rumor came from, but no.
Hey.
He's virally suppressed, so he has his HIV under control. But I mean, like I am too, and yeah, he's not cured.
So what does that mean to be? Because I feel in a sense like you have yours under control. You take a pill every day. So what does that mean to be virally suppressed?
So your HIV spreads, and so I'm on Strigo, and I'm on it once a day, which is a combination of about 3 pills. And back in the 80s, there were maybe people were taking upwards to 25, 30 pills a day for their HIV. And so, through the good graces
of I wanted to replay the show. I canceled
trial networks.
Because yesterday was Marathon Monday, and not many people were driving in their cars, and I just want to make sure that everybody in the community had an opportunity to hear how important the show was.
Aware of, and have you ever heard of PrEP before, right?
I have never heard of PrEP before.
Okay, so PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it's a pill that Gilead creates and not creates, but produces, and you give it to HIV negative people, and I think they take it for upwards to 3 months, and that will reduce the transmission rate of someone living with HIV. And so if I'm undetectable and someone's on PrEP, I cannot my likelihood of transmitting the disease to him is non-existent.
So there's a way for you to have a sex life.
Yes. Oh God, yes. Let's be clear. You can definitely have, and this is, I'm so glad you have you on your show, Tayla, because this is so important, because a lot of heterosexual people don't know about these things because they don't necessarily work in the field and they aren't, firsthand advocates for this disease. But I can have unprotected sex and not transmit the disease to someone.
So I tell you,
but I could.
Can I be 100% transparent? So
of course.
I have a child like mine sometimes, and I really thought that if I ever met a partner that had AIDS and I really, really loved them, that I would have to get AIDS from them or contract AIDS or HIV from them in order for us to have. I did not know that one partner can be HIV positive and the other partner can be completely free of the disease. This is not information that people actually discuss. This isn't well known.
No, and that's the process. And so that would be called a serodiscordant relationship, where one person's serostatus, sero means blood, excuse me, when one person's serostatus is negative and the other's is positive, and if we both have the same status, we are seroconcordant. So if I'm positive and you're positive, we're seroconcordant. And if I'm negative and you're negative, we're seroconcordant. And so I usually date HIV negative men, and everyone's like, well, you know, what's the risk? There is no risk. And so he obviously would, you know, test himself regularly, but if he's on PrEP and you know, and I'm virally suppressed, we are just like any normal and regular couple having sex and being okay with that. But these aren't the things that heterosexual couples talk about, and hell, they're barely talking about it in the gay community. So I'm so proud of you for having this conversation this early in the morning. So
maybe we have all types of conversations this early in the rising, and it's because these are things that we need to know. These are things that we need to be educated on, and we're not educated about AIDS and HIV and the, other diseases in the household. We're not educated them in our schools anymore. Like, you have to be a part of a certain program for you to have this type of knowledge. And I want to give a huge shout out to Take the Test Boston, where they administer tests all year round, but they have a week long going to T-stops, our train stations, our bus stations, and giving out those rapid tests, those 20-minute tests, so people can know their status, hashtag know your status. And I think it's very important that, you know, I can't tell you how many times people are like, I'm scared. Like, I know I don't have it, but I'm still scared. People won't get blood work. People won't go to the doctor. People won't go to the clinic. I can only imagine how many people are walking around with some type of dormant disease that's in them, and they just don't know.
It's a huge issue, and it's not even, I think people do want to know their status. I think that they just don't know where to go. And so I think definitely equipping people with the resources that they need, I think that that's the first step, because ultimately, if you're going to different bus stops and you're giving me a test, what does that follow-up look like for me? You know, where do I go if I am positive? Where, you know, who's going to really take care of me? You know, will they keep my information a secret? I think that is the number one issue, is that people don't want anybody else to find out. They don't mind knowing, but they don't want anybody else to find out. So they hide in secrecy, you know, and that's not the way to do it. You definitely have to be connected to someone, and you have to have people that look like you that are helping you. And that is another issue, is that, you know, once these people become positive, you know, and they're put into communities of people that don't look like them, but teaching them about their lives, you know, there's a disconnect. So, you know, what does that look like for someone
that looks like Boston public schools, baby? That looks like half the schools across America. You trying to teach me about something and you don't look like me? That looks like schools across America.
What do you see that that's the disconnect? Before we even get to high school, you know, middle school, like elementary school, like, who's teaching me? What are they teaching me? How am I learning? That's the issue. And so I think once we really, you know, attack that, it has really nothing to do with sexuality or HIV. It's all about, you know, what I'm learning before I get out into the world, at home and at school. So, I don't know.
I said that too, like in my head, like, I don't know.
I know. It's just such a, I'm reading Tanahashi Coates right now, Between the World and Me, and I'm just, you know, I'm like mind blown. And so I'm just really, I'm thinking about things, and, you know, the systemic racism, all of those types of things, institutionalized slavery, like all of those things. So, you know, until we really unpack those things, I think worrying about my sexuality or my HIV status might be secondary. We have to figure these things out first.
Absolutely, but I don't ever want you to feel like, listen, all these problems and issues in the world, trust and believe they're still going to be here. But there is somebody that needs you more than you could ever imagine to help them come out, to help them. And I feel like I personally don't know what it feels like, but I feel like, you know, sometimes coming out could be actually coming out to yourself and dealing with the realization of the truth. Listen, I may not have HIV, but I'm dealing with the realization that I'm selfish. I'm dealing with other types of realizations of self. And, you know, it's difficult. And people need you. They need your voice. They need to know that, you know, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I can't imagine. We've read stories. We've read statistics about how many people are kicked out of their houses, how many people become homeless, how many people commit suicide. I think it was about a year ago, was the last time we visited this type of conversation. But you are the first guest to ever add the component with HIV/AIDS as well. So we do have another question on the line. If you have any questions for Guy Anthony around AIDS or HIV, or, you know, coming out, or how to speak to your children who may be gay or may even have HIV or AIDS, and, you know, these are taboo topics in our community. And if you have any questions, then now is the time, baby. Don't be scared. Or you can be anonymous, 617-282-0062, or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TAYLA, Good Rising, Callie Alive.
Good rising. It's amazing how this came in this morning, because about 3 days ago, my son, he's 13, he just kind of told me that he's chosen to like boys. I'm Caribbean and Hispanic, so this is a little tough on me, but I love my son with everything. So my question, because I've been listening, he said that, you know, he thinks things might have been different if, you know, nothing would have happened with him. Now, I believe, you know, me and my kid's mother separated, and then there was a time where we wasn't seeing eye to eye, so I didn't get to spend as much time with my son as I used to when he was, like, you know, 9 and 10. But before that, he used to always be into girls. Oh, I got girlfriend. I'm like, but he's too young for girlfriend. But then there was a time where there was some, he had a friend that both his parents were males. And then I ended up finding out that he used to go over there. So I strongly feel like something happened to my son that nobody wants to tell me. And now he seems to be confused. That just like 3 days ago, he told me how he's chosen to like boys. So my question is, do you feel that when you were young and you were molested, if the help that we have now, you would have had help then, you know, if somebody would have, you know, helped you, things would have turned out different still, or do you feel that you still would have just say, okay, I think I'm just going to choose to find boys attractive, because he feels, you know, I've kind of related your story with my son, even though I don't know he got molested. He said he didn't, but something deep inside of me tells me that something did happen. And that's why he's all of a sudden now changing, because he's just gradually, as he's getting older, getting more into saying that he likes boys. And he had issues in school with like bumping into boys, you know, and having issues where now I'm transferring from one school to another, and now he's got to get transferred to another school because he's having issues with like touching now, you know. And I just wanted some advice from you to find out, you know, how can I go about really talking to my son, where I can find out whether he really, really not got molested or whether something did happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you know,
too much.
I don't know if my life would have been different. Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We're still here.
Okay, good. I really don't know if my life would have been different had I got, you know, the help that I needed earlier. But I do believe I wouldn't have put myself in as many risky situations had my mother just taken me to a therapist to talk about what was going on with me. She recognized that I was depressed as a child, and they did nothing. And so the first step, I love that you said, you know, I love my son regardless. I think we all just want our fathers or father figure to say, I love my son regardless. Or my mother to say, you know what, I love my son regardless. I know that she does, but obviously saying it is more effective than just knowing it. But I would honestly take him to see a therapist, because he may not tell you stuff. You know, although you may be the cool dad, he loves you, you know, he's open with you, he's still not going to tell you, you know, the inner workings of his sexuality, because you're still dad and you're still a heterosexual him to a therapist to let him talk about what's going on, because at 13, I know he's, you know, sexually confused about some things. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He doesn't even really know what his sexuality is at 13. So I just would like for you to take him to talk to someone to help him and talk to him about these things. I don't know if he, you know, will ever be straight, but I think that, you know, allowing him to talk about it would greatly, you know, help him in the long run.
Bobby, do you have any other questions for Guy?
No, I kind of lost him. I didn't hear the last thing he said.
So that's my fault. I do apologize. But you can pull this conversation up on Mixcloud. And basically, he said that he loves the fact that you said, I love my son regardless. And that's the number one thing, to make sure that he has that support at home. He said take him to a therapist. So that way, because, you know, as his dad, he may not tell you everything. He may not tell his mom everything. But if you want, you know, help and guidance and allowing him to freely express himself, take him to a safe place that will allow him to express himself without that judgment and without, you know, scaring him a little bit, because, you know, we're fearful of our parents. What do our parents think? How are they going to feel about me after I tell them this thing? But if you take him to a therapist, somebody who can help him talk through his problems and find the words to then express to you.
See, he has a therapist, but like, I don't know, like, therapist's not allowed to tell you because that's like confidentiality, even if they're children, right?
So it's not, the therapist is not necessarily for you. The therapist is for him to be able to work through what he's dealing with, mentally, emotionally, you know, physically, sexual, whatever's built up inside of him. He is able and capable to speak to somebody to help him deal with the emotions that he's going through and help him find the words to then express it to you, so he can come to you freely without the therapist being a snitch. So you're right, there are confidentiality issues that you're not going to know everything, but as long as you give him a space to feel that he can say whatever he wants to say, that's really what's important. It's not you knowing everything, but you knowing that your son is in a safe place and can express himself and then can relay what he's feeling to you by somebody guiding him through those motions.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I just gotta be patient. I thought that he was able to tell me.
Big City 101.3 FM, waking up with Tayla Andre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. So I know a lot of you guys were off of work yesterday. I know a lot of you weren't in your cars. A lot didn't listen. I got a lot of messages like, Tayla, I heard about the show, but I didn't get to hear it. It is currently on Mixcloud. It's also on YouTube. We have another recording of today. Recording, but I really wanted to get that out, and I want to thank the father one more time for calling in. And again, he said that he is Hispanic and West Indian, the two biggest taboo, gay, nothing. What do you mean you like the opposite sex? And for him to say that I love my son regardless of anything, I don't want to push him away. I think that was a beautiful thing, and I just wanted to share that with everybody that missed it yesterday. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Coleman G. Howard, Truth, Love, Compassion. When we heal, it's better when we heal together. The world needs more love, so please just love. Faith's Natural Beauties, not just deodorant, not just curl products. If you need something to grow them edges back, she has it. The Pum Pum Wash. It's about to be summertime out here. You want to smell good. Deodorant, I love the deodorant. Asaria uses it, Anari uses it, and she also has this gel that Anari uses to make his curls on fleek. So it's not oily. It doesn't have cause your curls to be hard. They're like really firm but soft curls. So shout out to Faith's Natural Beauty. All of her products are absolutely amazing and made in her home, homemade. Today, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have an awesome day. If you want to catch the rest of the 20 minutes of the show from yesterday, it's on Mixcloud. It's on YouTube. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have an awesome day today. Big City 101.3 FM.
Yep, that's right, baby. You know what it is? It's DJ Sus One, the feature presentation. Listen, make sure you wake up with Tayla Andre Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 a.m. on Big City 101.3 FM. Wake up with the Radio Rebel. Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. This is the type of stuff I'm into, all right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go.
I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's show. Yesterday was so heartwarming to me that I wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to listen. Not everybody is on social media. Not everybody knows how to download Mixcloud. Some people just listen to the radio. So I wanted to make sure that we got that message loud and clear. A conversation that is all too often ignored and not discussed. So hopefully we achieved somebody. Well, I'm not even going to lie. I have a message over here from Facebook. Somebody who missed the show yesterday, who just caught it today, who's currently going through the motions of dealing with the fact that they are HIV positive. And I can't tell you how much it makes me feel fucking amazing that somebody can sit here and have their truth and have their honesty and be transparent. I'm a complete and total stranger. You don't know me like that. But for you to be able to say, Tayla, I trust you enough to be honest with you, when half of us aren't even honest with ourselves, I think that's so beautiful. I have a cussing problem, for those who don't know. When I'm off air, when that red light's off, when them fucks come out. Amazing. It blows my mind. And we refuse to talk about it. We refuse to even acknowledge that AIDS is even a real thing in our community. We fail to even acknowledge the fact that somebody possibly might be gay in our family. Nah, nigga, you better like girls. Shit. Like, I'm just glad that I could have the opportunity to facilitate a conversation that needs to be had. And if you feel as if there's other conversations that need to be had and that I'm not doing my job, or, Tayla, these are some things that you could be talking about, please. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to questions. I'm open to comments. TaylaAndre.com. Write me. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me what you want to see. And I'll do my best to make it happen. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you have an awesome day today.